Saturday Showdown. T1 versus Hanjin Bria.
I'm loving how Hanwha Life Esports is playing right now, and no one is doing it like them.
Well, Nongshim, at least they have the benefit of knowing exactly what to expect, and maybe they can utilize that coming into this draft, as Varus is going to be the first ban here. Just generally very strong ban you want to go for. But between Zeus and Kingen, we definitely see a lot of weird picks between these two. Would not be surprised to see a Vayne at some point, and a lot of top lane shenanigans, maybe some flex picks.
And Nivea top, a big enjoyer, both of these players of that pick. Let's see what comes through now, because these are a lot of standard ones. The Ashe gets banned actually here, taking that one away early. Pantheon still up, obviously. Karma still up, so if you ban neither here as Hanwha Life Esports, then you'll force them to do the same, and we'll have a bit of a trade potentially. Ezreal ban. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, and I think they will not ban the Pantheon here or the Karma and see what they get. I right now feel like you shouldn't give Karma, especially with the late Guma right now and how this team is playing. Pantheon, though, in Kanavi's hands, also pretty horrifying. So, I mean, pick your poison.
or Xin Zhao. I mean, he can play all three of the top meta junglers very well. So they're just going to ban Bard. And that's not Karma. So definitely a tough decision here for
I wonder what the Hanwha does here, because Hanwha gets to pick, and there's so much up. And they're like, it's Kanavi. We just picked Jarvan. Like, forget the meta.
Yeah. And they already banned Ezreal, so they just get to say, you cannot counter us with that, at least. But they will get Karma and Caitlyn to start off.
So it's still a strong Karma lane, even though they don't have the Ezreal. Ezreal safe into Jarvan. Yeah, at what point does Guma just start playing Smolder? He's like, yeah, I'm scaling, it's fine.
I mean, he's going to play Jhin if you allow him to.
How does Hanwha just keep getting these drafts every time?
Surprised that they didn't just play Jhin Karma. Like, Caitlyn definitely puts on a lot of pressure, but Jhin is a fantastic pick away. Nautilus.
He's probably still playing Jhin. He could play Ziggs. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, it's going to be a tough lane to play, but you'll have TP. And you can come back to lane and clear the waves. You become a bigger threat later on, because the game isn't about your, your presence early and you cleaning up kills. It's just about, layering damage on top of the aggressive front line and engage. Instead, we're going to keep the pick a mystery for now, as we'll see Zeka pull out the blind Aurora.
Yeah, he has been the best Aurora in my opinion. Just incredible stuff he's able to do on it, especially when he plays it with Guma's Jhin. That one game where they just dominated mid lane together was just kind of insane to me. So, good pick for Zeka. Also, technically a flex, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Zeka and Chovy have been the two big Auroras for me, but I think Zeka has surpassed him recently. Scout will get his hands on the Rise, which will give them some rotational power and a lot of wave clear. I already have the Caitlyn Karma, so maintaining prio around the map is going to be how this comp is going to operate for now. They don't have great engage, so that's where we're going to have to see the top jungle pick up the slack, as that was the most obvious ban, I think, in the history of League of Legends.
Yeah, #1 on the list. I wonder if they ban Ziggs next. There's not much else to say about the Jhin, but I think the Ziggs definitely could get a look in, although
I'm thinking if you ban Ziggs, doesn't Guma probably just play Misfortune and he's okay with it? I feel like with how Hanwha have played this season, you already just know what you're going to get and how they're going to do it. And so maybe they ban something else so that Zeus isn't able to have a free lane. That could be an option here. I'll ban the Ziggs, so, I mean, again, that's so predictable. If he locks in the MF, I might just leave because you guys don't need me. I don't even need to be here.
Yeah. Does feel like it could almost definitely be the right call.
I mean, it's not the most meta pick right now, but it definitely has a lot of lane power. Even though you're playing into Caitlyn Karma, you are going to have follow-up to the rest of the team later. and it might just be left on an island. And you're going to push in mid lane fine later on. Just have to make sure you don't die to dive. Pantheon made it this far. And it almost feels like Hanwha Life Esports are, with this Scion banner, like, I'm giving ourselves a challenge. Or they're giving themselves a challenge with this one. Pantheon Rise.
Well, looks like they want to play Jace, so that's another good reason to ban away the Scion. But Yorick's still available. I mean, there's a lot of different things. As maybe they're going to pick something here for Guma and the MF.
Oh, I'm taking my headset off if he locks it.
Bye, Wolf. Solo cast.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Jace as well does come through. And, yeah, we've lost Wolf, so now it's just me. That's okay. I mean, I can analyze this as well. The Yorick comes through.
I decided I want to keep my job, so I'll put it back.
Oh. You know, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But we also knew what was coming.
Think that this draft here for Nongshim Red Force has a lot of power. Like, what Hanwha Life Esports got is very obvious, very predictable, very Hanwha Life. This team has, like, I don't think I can ever remember a time, except maybe, like, the T1 double marksman bottom lane meta, where a team has had an identity that is this well-defined. Like, I cannot remember, besides that T1 double marksman era, where a team is just like, all right, Kanavi's going in on these picks specifically. Zeka's following up on these picks specifically. And Guma, because it's best of threes and Fearless, he has enough champions to play here. He's just like, all right, I'm on the self-sufficient ones. I follow up from far away. MF does that. Ziggs does that. Jin does that. Oh, you can only ban two? Guess what? And, but on the other side of things here for Nongshim, just because Hanwha, well, we knew what Hanwha was going to do, doesn't necessarily mean Nongshim can stop it, but they have good tools. They have a really strong laning phase on the bottom side. They have an incredible amount of power in this Yorick counter pick here, and they have the Pantheon Rise to play through the map. So I think the tools are absolutely there. The question is, will their mastery of it be as good as Hanwha Life Esports just back another day on the grind?
Yeah, back to work for them. Same for Nongshim Red Force as we hop into the rift for game number 1. All right, game number 1. We're already getting into the level 1 shenanigans. Just a little bit of poking and prodding from mostly Kanavi and his friend Zeus. Getting in there, putting in a deep ward, and even a defensive ward on their own Raptors as well, just to make sure that no shenanigans are going to happen here from Nongshim.
This meta is so defined here at the LCK, but not as defined as Hanwha, but imagine if we didn't have Fearless. It's crazy. I mean, there'd be a lot of adaptation and changes in bans still, like in the old days for Nongshim, but imagine if you just tried to run it back after losing to this Hanwha draft. Would have been not fun to cast. Fearless, very fun to change things up. I'm excited for best of fives where teams like Hanwha will not necessarily be able to play exactly what they want. 2 games in a row to 2-0 and move on. But right now, they are kind of doing it a lot of the time. See what Nongshim can do with this Karma lane, because that is their strongest power point right now. Yorick at level 1, he's not. Later, though. Later.
Yeah, I mean, Zeus, definitely one of our scarier Jace players. We've seen a lot of Jaces just kind of fall flat where, you know, Jace in the past used to be this pick that always dominated lane. And now he has some answers, one of them being Yorick, obviously not at level 2. But then eventually they just don't quite get the lead that they wanted, so they don't pop off as hard in the mid game, and then it's just kind of like, well, we have this Jace guy who hits a tank and doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of mobility, so to speak, in the phase rush, but like you're otherwise a pretty immobile champion that's very gankable, especially if you're trying to apply that pressure and maintain that pressure, because right now he's got a 200 gold lead, right? Like he's picked up a CS advantage, grabbed a plate.
Guess who's bot at level 3?
Yeah.
It's Kanavi. And who could have seen this coming? There's the flash, and the follow from Kanavi is so clean. Do they have the damage in the rundown? Even barrier going to be used here by Taeyun, and they do, even through the Karma Shield, although Kanavi's so close to dying, but he just walks it off.
Literally every game. Just literally every game. As there's no cross map. Sponge was just late to the bottom lane, so it doesn't actually look for a gank on the Zeus, who was pushed far up, nor does he save his bottom laner. So Sponge is just maybe a bit wrung out at the moment.
Like a real Sponge.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of liquid. He hasn't absorbed anything really in this game just yet. But
hasn't been used in a while. Been sitting at the kitchen sink for like
let's
a
say
couple weeks.
If Kanavi is a faucet, there's a lot to soak in. But yeah, this, by the way, you see the ward on the river? I don't. You're playing Karma, Caitlyn. He's Kanavi.
Yeah.
Know your opponent.
Even
I don't even think that's like a I don't think that's even like a Sun Tzu quote or anything. I think that's just like what you gotta. That's what you gotta have in your mind.
Yeah, it seems pretty basic. But yeah, even Lahens had to flash. So
Yeah.
all 4 summoners are gone, and Hex flash here for Delight, who, by the way, the second that play ends, he goes back and he joins Kanavi to get aggressive once again in the enemy jungle. And so Kanavi gets to play like a crazy person, and Sponge is like, well, I don't know if Delight's there, but he's not bot, so I guess I just lose a Krug.
That is how it is. And obviously, Gumayushi is just going to be self-sustaining down here. Weak side Guma, it is the way. He has really come into his own in this role here in this squad this year. I mean, it took a little bit of growing pains, obviously, the early parts of the season where they hadn't figured out exactly what their style was. Even as far back as Kespa Cup was still a little bit rocky, even though they made the finals there. But I do think that things are looking very good for them right now. He bought the call because he knows later I'm going to be a follow-up to the front line that is already significantly ahead and is holding all of the gold advantages here for Hanwha Life right now. Let's see what Nongshim could do now that Scout has ult, right? Like, where can he go on the map? When Sponge gets his ultimate, where can they punish? These are the things that Nongshim is going to have to do to prevent that train from just rolling through.
I think the obvious answer,
Unlucky.
That's kind of unfortunate. The obvious answer, I think, should be top. You know, the Jace, you know, phase rush, but as you mentioned, doesn't have a lot of mobility. You have a Pantheon, you have a Rise, you can lock them down pretty easily. Bottom lane, diving turrets can be very difficult into the light because he's playing Nautilus. And, you know, it's not a ton of gank assists. You know, they have the traps from the Caitlyn, but that's about it. As they're trying to take Guma for a walk here, but the root comes in, and Kanavi actually shows bot once again on a ward here.
Sponge is going to come down here, but there's a Nautilus, and Kanavi's nearby, so I think that's about as much as he can do. Getting half a Delight's health bar, though, does allow them to continue to pressure here and allow him to start the Dragon. There is a ward that he'll ping instantly there in the pit, so he's letting his team know that they know, but I think he's also aware that they cannot really stop him. There's mid prio here for Scout with that wave clear from the Rise. And so they get the first Dragon of the game. They're utilizing the Karma Caitlyn very well, despite maybe using it a little bit too well there at level 3 for Kanavi. Zeus here has also backed off of the top side, so not in a gankable position. Pantheon will have level 6, likely right after this Dragon. So once he has it, like you said, maybe that pressure point will be the Yorick on the top side. Trying to dive a Nautilus Misfortune is pretty tricky with the base stats that Misfortune has with Barrier and the Nautilus root and hook. And it's going to come at a heavy cost if you commit. And that's also assuming Kanavi isn't there, which things could go even worse.
Nice dodge of the Ghoulie wall from Zeus, but you can see that this top lane matchup beginning to turn a little bit in favor of Kingen. He gets the Maiden up. Kanavi did just show on a ward up on the top side of the map, so I think that Kingen probably just wants to clear this and back away.
He has Sponge here, so another strategy could be to try to bait into the Pantheon ultimate. But Zeus is just 100% aware, I think. He's like, no, this is the pressure point they could apply. And my job here now is to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. He just summoned that Maiden about 15 seconds ago, so didn't last very long. So he left it under turret and allowed Zeus to hit it about 8 times. So that's pretty unfortunate that he doesn't have that. Here's the pressure.
Here we go.
And we were talking about looking to dive Zeus, but Kanavi is here. They want to turn it onto Kingen first, but Zeus is mega low. There's the damage from Scout. They get the kill as Kanavi goes in, tries to lock him up with the Cataclysm, and now it's all up to Zeka to try to get in and do the damage, but he is alone 1v3 with a Pantheon in his face. Does do a decent amount of damage, but can't finish anyone off.
There is no question that both teams knew exactly what was going on there before that actually broke out, but trying to handle it was the trickier part. And I think Sponge was incredibly patient with the timing of his ultimate there and made sure they could lock down those kills and then drop the aggro. By the time Kanavi drops Cataclysm, they're far enough away. As we've seen so many games where Kanavi holds people in turret with his Cataclysm. Here, as you can see, Kingen doing enough damage here, and then the Pantheon comes over. And by the time Kanavi gets this set up, they are away. Scout flashes. And Zeka decides to flash the wall here so he can use his ultimate to try to close the gap, but does not actually have the ability to do that damage through Brush, and so ends up using a lot of tools here, but ultimately gets nothing. Nongshim, huge win there on the top side.
Yeah, it's got to feel good. Your Rise Pantheon, although they're going very deep for this one, as everything's thrown into Taeyun. They say, well, we've got this Pantheon, we can do whatever we want, but now you see that Scout is a little bit late to the party, and Sponge is probably just going to go down as well. That's a kill for Guma, and now Scout comes in and just going to die as well, as HLE are eating good in their own jungle.
And also, by the way, Zeus knows everybody's here, so he can put this pressure on at this moment in time. We'll grab an additional plate, so the pendulum swings back to Hanwha Life Esports, but you gotta respect Guma's engage or follow-up range here. Like, they're so deep in the jungle, and they know where Guma is. He's on a ward. Like, he shoots over the wall with that, and they've got like it's a Jarvan Nautilus. You're not getting away. I think a bit of an overextension here. I think if they played it slow and played through Scout's rotation, I think this absolutely could have worked. You know, they pushed the fight away from where Guma can't impact it, but it was a little bit sloppy. And this team is like, this is where our whole style comes together, by the way, in scraps like this. Thank you very much. Nice steal.
That's going to feel pretty good at least. But really the main issue is how much gold they just gave to Guma, who is now 2-0-2. And your Caitlyn Karma lane, it's like, okay, you wanted to put on pressure. Delight picked Nautilus. As Flash comes in, they really want to lock down Guma here, who's just going to flash away. And the damage, not quite enough to take Guma down.
He caught his flash, and he's very immobile. And the Karma flash isn't really as valuable, generally speaking. So I kind of feel like that was worth here for the side of Nongshim. They're a little bit sad they couldn't get the kill, but I'm going to feel good about it overall. Yeah, the gold leads are starting to stack up. When you look at them all, they're all small. If they were just in one place, you'd be like, okay, well, I can deal with this problem or that problem, but their problems are kind of mounting up. As Light's also going to pull this wave away as Lehens and Taeyun are backing. Now things get really tricky for Nongshim. They have a dragon lead, but they are not going to have prio when it spawns the second dragon here in 25 seconds. They can try to fight their way through it, but the composition isn't really online enough to fight without prio. In my mind, Scout picks up Merc Treads. You know, he's sitting on a Catalyst and a Tier. He just isn't going to offer a lot of damage in this fight, even if he could Realm Warp in.
I think one item Caitlyn as well can really struggle, even though Guma doesn't have his BT yet, but probably pretty close.
If Guma positioned badly and they could like Pantheon ult him and kill him somehow, you know, maybe that could be enough, but this Aurora does so much more than this Ryze does right now, and I think Nongshim should opt out. But we will see.
Just clearing vision.
Okay, I'm
Sponge
happy.
is like, no, I don't want any of that.
All right, I'm happy with your decision, Sponge.
Blue wall. Lots of damage here in Zeus. Kingen's definitely doing a good job now. Still a lead, though, as it's another Ocean Soul. Could have been much worse. You know, if Hextech comes out, could have been pretty big. As now they're looking for a dive down here on the bottom side. Lehens doesn't have flash, so this time it's going to bite him in the butt, as now Zeus has to deal with the cross map here, and he will not have a very fun time. But Kingen lives.
I thought he was dead. I guess he just was not quite low enough there with the turret ramp. Doesn't flash. Calculated.
2 lanes for 1 win here, though, for HLE.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. They got 1 back, you know. Guma's getting plate gold. He loves to hit the turrets. And by the way, he's like Probably something like 22 times higher than his average kills per game right now at 3 kills, and it's at like 13 minutes. So he did enjoy those 2 kills he got with the ultimate earlier on. This is a really nice play here. Obviously, it's the same play we saw before, except this time they know the enemy jungler's on the bottom side of the map. So this is even simpler than the last time. And for Kingen, who was definitely a knower, simple as. And Lehen's here. That's the thing. You get CC'd. You get CC'd again. He didn't even have to use his ultimate, and they ult Taeyun here. And, like, yeah, he's fine, but just cannot get back to his turret. So more gold goes over to Guma. It's almost 2,000 gold ahead. And frankly, this MF is not necessarily the main character, but kind of may become so in this fight, or these upcoming fights, where she's just so ahead that her ults hurt really bad, but even just her Qs are going to really do a number on anyone who's in range.
Yeah. Generally, for any kind of good, TV show or movie, you know exactly who the main character is, who the supporting cast is. But, with HLE, sometimes you just, it's a mixed bag. You don't know who's going to be the main character on any given day.
It's the Guma episode.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is interesting. Let's dive deeper into this.
Yeah, let's learn more about this character. This episode's all about him.
Yeah. And, trying to make MF a good pick for the future as well, if he continues to play well, as Zeus once again getting dove here by everybody and not going to have any more luck this time around. Kanavi gets here, but a little bit too little, too late.
There was a rotation down, actually, of both Guma and Delight, but it looks like Kanavi pinged them to back away, which comes to a shock. It actually kind of gave me a little bit of a shock, but he's like, nah, it's fine, just keep pushing mid, let's get that prio there. And instead of committing further, they just go back. He didn't want to go for a flash Cataclysm by time, Delight shows up, bullet time situation. As that's the angle here, because look at the mid lane right now on the minimap. See, they're coming down. They have full prio there. So you could have argued Kanavi can actually hold Lehen's here, but it's like, you can't get Scout, so not really worth. Scout has TP, and he's used it to head to the bottom lane and pick up some plates, so he's going to get a lot out of this, actually. And we'll nearly just get rid of that gold lead that Zeka's been holding this whole game off of it.
Yeah. Zeus no stranger to getting bullied in the early game. Just remember his Gnar game and a lot of other games where he falls very far behind, but still ends up being, a boon to his team and doing things in the mid to late game. I do wonder if he's going to be able to do much on this Jace from this far behind. And if Guma can carry enough on a pick like Misfortune, HLE do have a sizable lead, a decent lead, nothing huge, but, they lost a turret. They did get the Rift Herald, but it feels like a very even game state.
Yeah, I like the game state here for Nongshim because of the Rise Pantheon that they keep using. By the way, here we go.
This time HLE seem to be ready for it, but it's 4 members here as another TP's coming in from the side of HLE. They're trying to peel it here for Zeus, who will survive a massive Aurora ult on everyone. And they just keep him in place this time. Hanwha Life Esports are so ready for it, and Nongshim were not.
Liking the game state a little bit less now, Valdez, for Nongshim after that one.
Yeah, I agree.
But can Taeyun get out? He doesn't have flash. He's going to be fine. Delight's too far away. Lehen's? Karma's making up words.
She has her own language. They're real voice lines.
I don't know. That's going to be a turret in the mid lane. So it's just the news isn't getting better. It looked for a moment like, okay, Nongshim are going to continue to run the map. They have a better scaling comp, arguably, and have more side lane power. But Zeka's the real problem. And when you're mentioning, okay, can they carry with a Misfortune? I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is the lead you really want necessarily, but they keep getting these skirmishes where, with this TP, by the way, from Zeka, shows up in the back of 4 people. He just carries the fight here with Guma on the side, and there's just not a whole lot that Nongshim could do. They opted fully in. It was completely all in. There is no cancel button on that exchange. That Zeka can be such a big, consistent damage threat. And between the burst they have, Jace, Aurora, and this Misfortune, they should be able to win most fights if they can burst anybody down right at the beginning of it. And with Kanavi setting it up so incredibly well, with Delight being on the Nautilus, it's pretty simple, right, to execute. And it's what Hanwha Life Esports has been doing every series since they really had that bounce back. at the end of week 1 and especially at the beginning of week 2. And it's like what they're best at. They have all the comfort picks. They have the 3,000 gold lead. And you can try to make the argument that, hey, Taeyun, you know, he'll get out of the trough. Scout will be a big late game damage threat. They got Yorick and Sides. They got Pantheon to back it up. But I think the ship may have sailed here.
Yeah. I mean, when we were talking about drafts, something I was thinking about is that, you know, in this meta where there's so many things that are super powerful, to the point where you can ban 6 of them, and yet Karma's still going to get through, Jarvan's still going to get through, Ryze, Pantheon, right? All these huge picks, they still get through. You can just run a comp over and over, you know, kind of like, because a lot of these picks are not going to get banned. They're not going to ban Aurora in the first phase.
Yeah, because then you're going to give over something potentially worse, like Guma gets his Varus, like, you know, or...
And some teams have tried to ban Jarvan.
Yeah.
And they've tried to ban out Kanavi, and he's like, well, I could just play Shinjal, it's fine. You know, I don't have to play this. I'll play Kha'Zix, right? Like, he can play other stuff that kind of fulfill a similar role.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, like, what happens when Kanavi and Guma and Zeka have a pool that allows them to play the meta picks incredibly well, but these second-tier rotations on top of it as, okay, here's an engage.
All right, tons of damage already in a Scout. No surviving for him as the MF Nautilus show up big once again. And, well, at least Sponge was able to land a stun and nearly get Kanavi. Another hook is going to land, and he just doesn't miss. Delight on engage supports. You gotta love it. He's not playing the enchanters. He's like, no, just give me Nautilus. I will carry.
He has such a big role to play in these fights. You know, his ultimate is very easy, right? That's the easy part. That's the one where you just click on them. But the dredge line gives them so much leeway with how they can engage, where they can engage, and which targets they can hit. And when he's making these aggressive plays over and over again, it's really simple to follow up, right? As long as he does his job. If he misses this, the whole plan's a bust, right? And they got to wait for another cooldown, or they got to just wait for another wave. But in this moment, if he hits those, the follow-up is just immense. And so, as we see here, another one comes through. Then he can press R this time to lock them down since Kanavi is low. They have the damage, though, with the Aurora. And that's a dead turret.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen players like Karya have times where he also is just unbannable, right? In the Marksman meta, he's like, I'll play literally anything that shoots with 80 damage. And Kanavi has a thinner pool that he's utilizing here, but if you start to ban those away, then other problems arise. Like, imagine Kanavi playing like Orianna Nocturne with this team. That sounds pretty horrifying. And, you know, like banning Karya's Bard right now is the thing that a lot of teams do. A lot of people just ban Bard in general, but it's not like Kanavi has that one pick that you're worried about. He's got 2 that you're really worried about, and when he keeps winning 2-0 and there's so many picks that need to be banned, like you're saying, he just keeps winning on those.
Yeah, just allows you to play a very consistent style. As double TP is coming in, plus Sponge, and they got nothing. Double
Zeus has
TP,
TP.
and Sponge ulted, and they got nothing. Well, they got mid-pro, okay? I don't want to take that away from them.
Arguably like triple TP with the Sponge ultimate, and now they're going to try to force a fight here around this buff. Did not go well for them last time. Bit of a different situation here. They got Prio, but they can't do Baron. Dragon hasn't spawned, so, you know, while you can't take it away from them, they got Prio. I think the value of the Prio here, we'll have to look at the Prio exchange to really see. I'm gonna have to.
How much is a Prio worth nowadays?
Well, at this specific moment, I think it's on the lower end.
Yeah, it's time to buy.
Yes. And believe it or not, that's where Guma's going, right to the mid lane to get it back, because Dragon spawns in 50 seconds.
Yeah, it's another Ocean Soul, but you can tell that HLE, I think at this point, as long as they control vision, control areas of the map, and try to take more fights, they can always just engage with Kanavi or Delight, and it doesn't really matter what it's over, as long as they can convince Nongshim to come to the fight.
They just don't want
like, yeah, okay.
Exactly. Like they don't want the Dragon, they want the team fight the Dragon creates. And they also don't want to push too far inside, which is why the way Zeus is playing this mid-game, by the way, is beautiful, because he just keeps catching waves near his inner, and he's like, you guys can't kill me.
Yeah.
And our 4 is stronger than your 5, essentially, right now, especially when you don't have tools. So we just get the Prio back. You used everything to get Prio, but it's so temporary, we get it back. And Zeus is like, I'm not going to do anything risky. I'm just going to stay with my team, not going to give you guys any ins, any opportunities for gold. And it's just great map plays here from Hanwha Life. And they know that Nongshim can't do Baron. You know, if we were 10 minutes later in this game, they would not be able to play this way at all. Even with the Pantheon ult down, right, with the double TP, they would just go straight to Baron, and Hanwha Life Esports would actually have to respond. Speaking of responding.
Zeka is on the hunt. He's not playing Sivir. It looks like they are going to get this Drake essentially for free. Nongshim were like, maybe we like get some vision. And they did. They got a little bit of vision around the Baron.
It makes you wonder, like, what can Nongshim do? They don't want to fight the Dragon. There's no win there. They can't pinch anybody in sides because there is nobody in sides. Oh, boy.
Yeah, just flashing over the turret is Delight. That's how confident he is to look for engaged plays now.
And how much Scout trusts he's not going to miss that. And he flashes in response, so, you know, with Hex Flash available for Delight, I don't think he really cares that much. And he's not the only form of engage, as he's putting sums in, looks like in the keyboard there. You could just tell this guy is 100% locked in right now and is leading the charge for the squad. And like I said, you know, if you look at the map for Nongshim, where do you go? Where do you clear? You got to slowly like leapfrog towards Baron. Make sure you can check that one out, verify it, because no one's showing on the map. And Hanwha Life Esports are like, I'll see you there at the team fight. Otherwise, you won't see me. There's no
all
in.
the pings right now on a Kingen.
Kingen is a bit overextended.
He was the first person to show on Vision, and they were like, hey, let's go. Let's go fight him. 3 people bot. They can't do Baron, so might as well.
The Nongshim players are not doing the damage to champions because they're just not able to. They're not able to fight. They're not able to get out on the map, and the fights are ending instantly. Their heads are getting chopped off before they can even really wield a sword, or in Caitlyn's case, a rifle, and in Ryze's case, like a book. And then, yeah, Yorick's case, a shovel, I suppose.
Karma's case.
He hasn't died yet, though, so he's...
What about in Karma's case?
I don't know, an imaginary language, so to speak.
Is it a spade or a shovel? Is there a difference? I wonder. Taeun is going to have to flash, so there's the Hex Flash value.
I always thought the spade was the, like, mini shovel, you know? Like, you use for gardening. A shovel is, like, used for burying things. Sometimes gardening, sometimes, like, construction work.
Or clearing snow?
Digging up a treasure chest, yeah, snow.
Yeah,
I
was digging up a treasure chest just yesterday, so
yeah,
I was using a shovel.
But you weren't using a spade for that.
No,
that would just take way too long.
Not, yeah.
At least that's what I think a spade is the small one that you wouldn't use for a treasure chest.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to get this question answered because I am not sure. Zeus is just running away from where he thinks Pantheon is going to go, and he's right. He will get away from the Pantheon. He still dies. As HLE, they were just begging for someone to start a fight. And, well, Kingen did.
Okay, well, this got a lot of people in the bottom lane, and so Scout and Taeun get some additional time pushing their lanes. Scout's level 16. I don't think he should greed for this overgrowth. I think he would have gotten away with it. Actually, it looks like he will. He will.
Yeah.
But, okay, so we got that. That's an additional bit of value they got in this timing before the next dragon is up. This does really feel like Kingen is like, I'm strong. Let's bait them. You guys, I'm going to give you some space. I'm going to sacrifice myself here. Maybe I'll take Zeus down with me. And he does. And, you know, I guess got him. They're still really far behind, but that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, got to figure out something still. Kanavi hiding on bush. Sponge going to lead the charge with Lehens, clearing out vision. This is smart. This is what you got to do. But it does feel like they're turtling a little bit, where it's like, okay, maybe later on we can get something going. Because at this point in the game, HLE can't really do the Baron either. Lehens? Okay. He's trying to bait something, I suppose. But Ingo Zeka just bursts him down. And that's the end of Lehens, just like that.
It almost feels like you can hear the Nongshim comms being like, okay, let's trick them. Maybe there's a way they always go in on everything. So if I stand here, like that felt like the play with Kingen in the bottom lane. You know, it felt like the play here with Lehens. This time, though, fails.
Oh, no. Zeka, so good at finding those angles. And Kingen and them, they're trying to get a bit of damage into him, but that's just Baron gone. And maybe in trade for a turret, you see Nongshim trying to get something here, and they should be able to get this one.
Should be able to. Majai's picked up for Zeka. He's had his Dark Seal stack completed for a while, so he is hoping to get more pages. I don't know what the value of getting that mid turret is necessarily going to be here for Nongshim. If they can like flip for Elder, maybe getting Prio there and pushing through that could be something that's valuable later on. Because I don't know if you really want to fight this one, but like, what do you want to do? They're going to look for an angle here on the King.
No, look at the damage from the Aurora! And the bullet time, they all get stuck and locked up and lined up, essentially, as Guma knocks him down. And that might just be the end of the game. Scout, a little bit too low to do anything. He will not be able to clear the wave, especially against Baron and HLE. They find the fight they were looking for and win the game.
Nongshim turtled so hard and then they just lowered the shield. They wanted to challenge, they wanted to use the dragon.
Aww.
Poor Scout.
Scout, no. Okay, he's done. Very heroic effort from him. But the game is over. And HLE are just unstoppable, it feels like nowadays. Stoppable onslaught of this team, the orange tank.
The Ocean Soul, but it would have also meant giving up vision, playing into Baron buff. You know, you're not going to have a whole lot of defense. Like, Scout did 6.8k damage because all he was trying to do was clear waves so that he could be more relevant later and win that big team fight that never happened. And I thought that's why they were going to give the dragon and pray for Elder, but...
It's okay. 여기. 앞으로 끌었다 얘네. 캐트. 나봐줘. 캐트 공고 나왔어. 완전. 나와줘. 끝내자. 끝내면 돼. 가자. 라이즈 돌았어. 라이즈 전혀 있다. 라이즈 풀 돌았어. 브라인 써도 되겠다. 준영이 형이 각 보이면 그냥 걸어. 파워 살짝. 풀 있어. 풀 전냐 있어. 나다. 나이스. 잘했다.